May I come in, sir?
Come. आइए. But please sit. Vedant, you are already in Danex,
Yes, sir.
correct? Your present designation is what?
Currently, I am attached to the Labor Department.
You are on probation?
Yes, sir. I will have progress.
On probation, okay. You belong to Jaipur, Rajasthan. Constitutional administrative law.
Yes, sir.
What exactly is covered by administrative law?
So all the general administrative matters like general administration in the public dealing, yes, sir.
Give me the names of 1-2 laws that fall under administrative law in India.
So the service law comes under the administrative law.
Like
The service matters, like the service law is the
name one service law that we have in our country.
So I am not able to recall that. But
कोई है?
so is money.
Okay. And constitutional law obviously is about the constitution, correct? Can you tell me one good book on constitutional law that you might have read or you have heard of?
So MP Jain is there. MP Jain.
Anything else?
VN Shukla is there. Sir.
VN Shukla is there, correct. Now, constitutional law, does it try to redefine the constitution or define the constitution, or what does it do?
So constitutional law contains the commentary on the constitution as well as all the judgments as well as the other material regarding the constitution itself. So constitutional law is a very broad law other than just constitution.
All right. Now, I'm going to point out one contradiction in the constitution, and you have to tell me why it exists. Can you tell me what Article 27 of the constitution is?
So it is regarding a state cannot tax.
Taxes cannot be used for the advancement of any particular religion, correct? But then we have an article called 290 capital A, 290A. Are you aware of that?
Currently, sir, I am not aware.
Okay, now I'll tell you. 290A says that a certain amount of money from the consolidated fund of Tamil Nadu and Kerala shall be given to the Devasam boards of these two states for the upkeep of Hindu temples. Now, does 27 and 290A contradict each other? Well, 290A specifically pays for the maintenance of Hindu temples.
So there is a Supreme Court judgment upon it. If I am to recall, it is VN Karadia case.
What did it say?
It says that a substantial part of the state revenue should not go to a particular religion. A nominal amount can be spent.
So are you trying to tell me that the state can spend money on upkeep of Hindu temples while ignoring mosques and churches?
No, sir. State has the responsibility to treat every religion alike.
So that is the point. 290A says upkeep of Hindu temples. Does that fit into the constitution?
So if it says that the only a particular religion is to be benefited by the state funds, I think it is.
You can see Article 290A. It particularly says that. Now, why would it say that?
So I believe that it is enforcing the Article 15 itself to throw open the Indian temples for all the classes of citizens. So,
to throw open Hindu temples to all castes, you have to spend money on Hindu temples. Is that what you are saying?
So the control of the Hindu temples is with the state. So
I'll tell you later.
yes.
You talked about gender neutral rape laws. After the Nirbhaya judgment, Nirbhaya case in 2012, I think, we had a Criminal Law Amendment Act.
Yes, sir.
Did it talk about gender neutral rape law, or yes or no?
So the GS Verma committee did talk about.
And what about the Amendment Act?
So the Amendment Act did not talk about it.
Did not.
Yes.
Why didn't we agree to that? JC Verma committee wanted, correct? So why did the government not agree to it?
So the argument that the government side give is that Indian society is not totally ready about accepting the concept of non-binary genders. So it may disrupt the societal setup.
My last connected question to this. Our government is also not willing to accept the concept of marital rape. Why?
So the concept of marital rape is a very grave one, but it is a double-edged sword because it has a lot of potential to be misused.
Every law can be misused.
Yes.
So that's not so special about this law.
So in marital law, marital rape laws, a lot of potential to breach of privacy is there because no one knows.
All crimes happen in privacy. Unless somebody is crazy to kill somebody in public. So then, no other laws will breach your privacy.
So it has a mostly there is a statistics that 30% of the cases against perpetrator regarding the rape, especially the marital rape, has been found to be false. So a grave.
The same thing applies to 498. Majority are found to be false. So how do you explain that? And just because 30% are found to be false, does that mean you can't have a law?
Sir, to read upon it, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good evening, Vedant. Your name suggests it's a very profound subject. Vedant itself is a very profound subject. Are you aware of the main teachings of Vedant?
So, the main teachings of Vedanta philosophy as given by Adi Shankaracharya, it pertains to that the whole world is made of two things, that is Purusha and the Prakriti. And to achieve the unification and to achieve Brahma, one needs to devote oneself to the knowledge gaining and
In the knowledge of Vedas, he said in one sentence, Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahmeva Napara. There is no duality in Shankar's Vedanta.
yes.
Since you are specifically saying Shankar, I am saying this, that there is no duality of Purusha and Prakriti in Shankar's Vedanta.
Advaita.
That is in Sankhya.
Yes, sir.
So Vedanta doesn't talk of even gender. It says the Jiva and the Brahma are the same. They don't talk of Purusha and Prakriti. Anyway, since you have studied law and you also I read somewhere in your DAP that you did something about some paper on cyber attack to be treated as use of force.
Yes.
If that becomes in international law, if that becomes a law, then every day we will be fighting each other. We, China, US, India, because everybody is trying to hit on the assets electronically. So what is the concept that you were proposing in that paper?
So my argument in this paper was that by including cyber attacks as use of force, the mechanism of UN resolutions can come in. Currently, there is no law that certain specifically talks about the cyber attack. So the problem of attributability or pinning blame on particular country is not there. So it isn't misused. The vacuum of law is misused by various countries to do cyber attacks. So including getting the use of force, the UN Charter can
Latent, but we were saying if that is there, then the countries would. But you see, these attacks are not done by state. These attacks are also done by non-state actors, as it happened in terrorism.
yes.
So it is also some kind of a cyber terrorism.
Yes.
So perhaps no state will take responsibility. They will say, okay, there are fringe elements who are doing this. So anyway, but it's a idea is there that it should also be regulated through some kind of international law. Okay. There's a lot of debate about delimitation in our country since you have studied constitutional law and all that. What is that debate currently? Are you aware?
Yes, sir. The southern states are opposing the delimitation because they fear that it will hamper their representation in the parliament adequately because they have worked on their demographic aspect. So the population wise, they are not much than the northern states. So, as delimitation reflects in terms of seats in the parliament, so certain states are fearful that their representation will be.
They are saying, on the one hand, we have done better than the northern states in containing population, and on the other, we are going to get less number of seats in the Lok Sabha. Okay. You have also studied law of tort. I am giving you one issue. And there's a practical issue. My neighbor has a mango tree, next door neighbor, and it's actually fact. Half of the tree is on our side. Can I claim the fruits of the tree which is on our side? Or does he have a claim on them?
So, as the owner and as the tree grows on his property, the fruits of the trees belong to me.
What is the law of tort says?
Several law.
There's a very famous case law on this. When I'm asking you this question, the British law. Our law of torts is essentially British law.
Yes, sir.
The story was a little different. What happened is there was some fruit tree on the other side, which the neighbor's horse ate away.
There's a case there, yes.
Ate away. And this fellow claimed, he says, what is that? It has come this side, my horse has eaten it. And I think he won the case, the horseman. So
it is regarding, if I may go with the horse case, the judgment was that as horse is an unnatural element in someone's land, if it's escape and hurt someone, then the person who
that was about water. That was about water in a pit, in a mining pit. That is another case. It says, since it escaped, if it escapes and hurts,
in this case,
then the responsibility is of the person who is containing this. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So Vedant, you were trying to explain something about Shankara's Vedanta. Vedanta is also Upanishada.
Yes, sir.
So what are the core teachings of Upanishada?
So Upanishads are mostly the philosophical teachings which are apart from the ritualistic aspects of other four Vedas. So its teachings pertain to life and death and what is the purpose of life and other philosophical aspects.
How many Upanishads are there?
So 108.
All right. Okay. So you are from Rajasthan, and Rajasthan is one of the most rich states when it comes to tourism. Do you think they have yet to achieve that optimum, or have they achieved when it comes to tourism to Rajasthan?
Yes, sir. Definitely, there is a great potential in Rajasthan for becoming a tourism hub, and till now it has not achieved it fully because there are issues regarding the infrastructure, the guest houses and stays for the tourists. Also, there is an overemphasis on the mainstream cities like the Jaipur, Jodhpur, Jaipur, Jaisalmer and all. The other unexplored aspects have not been exploited by the government as well as the tourism industry police.
So, if given a chance, what proposals you have in your mind?
So, if I make give an example from my training, as we visited Daman as part of our training, there was a model where government used to build the physical infrastructure, a well-furnished infrastructure for guest houses and hotels and stays, and it used to lease and outsource the management to the Tadub and other private organizations. So this can be replicated in Rajasthan for better revenue generation for the government also, and for better experience for the tourists.
All right. Besides the main cities that you just referred to, tell me any 3 important places in Rajasthan which are totally unexplored.
So I think Bikaner is one of them because it has a similar geography as Jaisalmer and other desert areas. It is really unexplored. Secondly, the Bodhi state is there. There's Bodhi port also, which is really very underrated for. And thirdly, in terms of ecotourism, Bharatpur is really unexplored because the bird sanctuary is there, Sevadev.
All right. So do you keep some interest in India's foreign policy?
Yes, sir, a bit.
Not exactly. So choose any particular area that you want to when we talk about India's foreign policy.
So India's bid to UN.
Okay. Give me 3 reasons why India should be a permanent member.
Freedom we take soon. So, firstly, which is very obvious, India is the most populous country of the world, and almost 20% of the population of the world is in India. So, for the representation point of view, India should be a part of the permanent.
Before you move to second point, may I ask you one more question? Is it a yardstick that population should be a criteria to get the membership? And if it is, then can it be replicated inside India when it comes to delimitation?
So, population, I think, should be a measure because UN is a representative body for the whole world.
Parliament is the representative body for India.
Yes.
So shouldn't delimitation be in light of the new population?
So, not only population, there can be other measures like the efforts in demography. Secondly, the contribution that GDP can also be included too.
Okay, when you talk about contribution to GDP, what is the contribution of India? Where we stand?
We're currently 2.18%, if I'm not wrong.
So is it sufficient?
Certainly not.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Vedant, you are a Danix officer. So tell me, how many tribes are there in Andaman Nicobar?
I beg your pardon. What was the-
How many tribes are there in Andamans and Nicobar group of islands?
Sir, there are 5 tribes, 4 to 5 tribes as I remember. There are Shompen, Nicobaris, Shompen, Nicobaris are there, and Sentinelese are there, Andamanis are there.
So they are basically divided into 2 categories. Can you name those categories? One is Mongolite, as you rightly said, Nicobaris and Shompens are from the Mongolite tribes. Okay. What is the other one?
Dravidian, sir.
Negrito.
Negrito also.
So which are those tribes? You said Sentinelese, you said Onjis. Did you say Javas also?
No, sir, I did not say what they are. Yes, yeah, Java also.
So tell me the how many islands are there and how many are habited and how many are uninhabited?
Sir, there are more than 500 islands, correct? And around 30 are inhabited.
Or habited or uninhabited?
Inhabited, sir. Habited.
Habited. So more than 500 are without any population. सृष्टि के सृजन से लेकर के आज तक उसके बाद कदम नहीं पड़े मानव के, लेकिन अब डिसाइड किया गया अब ना मानव की कदम पड़ेंगे, फोर्सें लगाई जाएंगी.
Yes, sir.
Have you heard about it?
This is a Great Nicobar project.
नहीं. All the islands, military armed forces are going to be deployed in those islands.
So I could not read about
You have not read about it. Be aware of it because it has been. Now the second question is, Nicobar is coming up as a transshipment port. Have you heard of this statement? Yes, sir. Where exactly it is coming and have you visited that area?
Sir, currently I have not visited. Our
But during Bharat Darshan,
Yes, sir. Our visit is due on 8th December only.
so you will start going to the areas.
8th December.
Okay. So are you aware ki where exactly this port is coming up?
So the
Transshipment port.
Great Nicobar Island.
Great Nicobar. Okay. Why not on the mainland? Why up there? That is the question.
So Andamans are usually termed as the unsinkable
Island.
or island.
I heard up area.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, and it has a very strategic position with respect to India's national security because it is near the Southeast Asia. It covers the...
It can choke the Malacca
Yes, sir.
straight.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next.
Secondly, sir, in the mainland, the depth for the transshipment port is not enough because for transshipment,
Is it enough there? Please find that out. Work it on that. Okay. Study that. Why is that? Of course, it can be as a choke point, but it can be choke point. Why do you require a transshipment port there for that? That is simply to wean away the cargo which goes to Singapore and then comes back.
Yes.
Okay. But strategically, it is there or not will be a matter.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Or Kedar, how do you think you performed?
So I think in the start I was too nervous to think.
Okay, after that?
After that, in some questions the factual knowledge was missing, I think. But
जैसे?
like who's the tribes वाला question था.
Are you nervous?
A bit, sir.
A bit. Okay. In your UPSC interview that you joined, Danex, what marks did you get?
So I got 180. 180.
180. Which means if I take 180 as a threshold, you can do better.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, correct? I think today it's your nervousness because I asked you some very straightforward questions. That one law at All India Service Act
Yes, sir.
automatically comes to mind.
That's what I do.
That you, for some reason, I mean, you were very nervous or I don't know why you didn't answer. Second, my request is don't guess. You were guessing a lot about 290A by trying to link it to 15, etc. No. The reason is something very different. You can read up 290A
Yes, sir.
and see why it is there. Barring that, I think your tone has been very monotone. Try to liven up. I think it's all coming down to the fact that you're slightly nervous. Why should you be nervous? You already have a good job. You already know what happens in the interview. You've already got 180 in the interview. Where's the worry?
Yes, sir.
Logically, there should not be any worry. Logically, you should be working on improving that 180.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
So go ahead. I mean, there's nothing because you have already done it. So there's nothing new that we need to tell you, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Unless you want to ask for something, otherwise there's nothing new I want to add.
Sir, this monotonous tone I want to break, sir. So
थोड़ा practical level. Don't try to get artificial. अगर नहीं होता, leave it. Artificial होगा तो और वो उल्टा हो जाएगा. If you can manage, well and good. If not, let be. As long as you don't get artificial, things are fine. और कुछ?
sir, in that 290A question,
290A जो है question अब उसमें very quickly I'll tell you. It says to the Devasam boards of Kerala and Tamil Nadu, no other state. So why these two now? And it goes against the idea of a secular constitution because particularly Hindu temples. तो ये डाला गया था because the Maharaja of Travancore, a part of India, he had laid down this condition.
For signing the annexation.
इसलिए डाला गया था. No, it's not about secularism. It's about a pre-independence treaty with the Maharaja of Travancore. There in Akbar, it's a very interesting thing in the constitution. Correct? और कुछ?
sir, I wanted to ask that can I say a question regarding law that I don't know because my optional is law.
अरे तो यार, if you're
Nobody knows everything under the sun.
मतलब optional है तो सब पता होना चाहिए क्या?
Not necessary, na?
Then I'll ask you about the law in Botswana. Will you be able to tell me? नहीं पता यार. That's the safest.
Okay, sir.
Rather than guessing.
ना guessing में और फंसोगे. You know it. So my remedy you don't know. और कुछ? All the best. 180 चुनेगा है उसके ऊपर लाना है. As simple as that. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
But you are a long age, no?
Yes, sir.
It's nervousness, nothing else. Okay.